Taylor Fritz speaks out. Questions if Coco Gauff was treated unfairly at AO face screaming in for fire. American tennis star Taylor Fritz has added his voice to the growing debate surrounding Coco Gauff's experience at this year's Australian Open. Speaking candidly, Fritz questioned whether Gauff was treated fairly during the tournament, sparking renewed discussion among fans and analysts. His comments come amid ongoing scrutiny of officiating decisions, media coverage, and behind-the-scenes access involving the young American star. With emotions still running high, Fritz's support highlights the solidarity among players and raises important questions about consistency, respect, and player treatment at the sport's biggest events, fueling an intense conversation across the tennis world. The Australian Open is no stranger to controversy, but this time the debate has taken a new turn, one sparked not by officials or commentators, but by a fellow player. American star Taylor Fritz has ignited fresh discussion across the tennis world after openly questioning whether Coco Gauff was treated unfairly during her Australian Open campaign. His comments sent shockwaves through fans, analysts, and social media alike, transforming what was already a tense tournament narrative into a full-blown conversation about fairness, consistency, and how young stars are handled on the biggest stages. When a top player speaks out, people listen. And when that player is Taylor Fritz, measured, respected, and rarely dramatic, the tennis world takes notice. The moment that sparked the debate, during a post-match media interaction, Fritz was asked about officiating standards and player treatment at the Australian Open. What followed wasn't an angry rant or an emotional outburst, but calm, pointed observation that quickly went viral. "I just think there were moments where Coco didn't get the same leeway others might have." Fritz said, "She handled it incredibly well, but yeah, it made you wonder." That single statement was enough. Within minutes, fans were revisiting clips, reviewing umpire calls, and debating whether Gauff, one of the most scrutinized young stars in the sport, was held to a different standard. Coco Gauff under the microscope. Coco Gauff entered the Australian Open with enormous expectations. A Grand Slam champion, a global star, and still only in her early 20s. She carries a level of pressure few players ever experience. Throughout the tournament, Gauff faced tight line calls, strict enforcement of time violations, intense scrutiny from officials and media. While none of the incidents alone seemed explosive, the pattern raised eyebrows, especially among fellow players who understand the nuances of on-court management better than anyone. Fritz's comments gave voice to what many fans had quietly been thinking. Why Taylor Fritz's words matter. Taylor Fritz isn't known for stirring controversy. That's exactly why his comments landed with such force. He's a top-ranked player, a peer, not a pundit, someone who shares locker rooms, practice courts, and tour realities. When Fritz questioned fairness, it wasn't framed as an accusation. It was a reflection. And in professional tennis, those reflections often reveal truths hidden behind official statements. Former players quickly weighed in, noting that young stars, especially those with massive profiles, often face stricter enforcement simply because every action is under a microscope, a question of consistency, not conspiracy. Importantly, Fritz never accused officials of bias or intent. Instead, his remarks highlighted something more subtle but equally important: consistency. Was Coco Gauff treated unfairly compared to others? Or was the standard itself unevenly applied? That distinction matters. Tennis thrives on the idea of equal rules for all, but interpretation, timing, and discretion often play a bigger role than fans realize. And that's where frustration begins. Coco's composure speaks volumes. What stood out most during the tournament wasn't controversy. It was Gauff's response to it. Despite visible moments of frustration, Coco remained composed, respectful, and focused. She didn't lash out. She didn't escalate situations. She played on. Fritz acknowledged that as well. She stayed professional the entire time. That's not easy when you feel like things aren't going your way. For many fans, that maturity only strengthened the argument that Gauff deserved more understanding, not less. Social media erupts. Once Fritz's comments surfaced, social media exploded. Hashtags like #StandWithCoco, #FairPlay, #Tennis Double Standards began trending across platforms. Fans shared side-by-side clips of calls involving different players, debating whether similar actions resulted in different outcomes. Conclusion: Taylor Fritz's comments may have been brief, but their impact was massive. By questioning whether Coco Gauff was treated unfairly at the Australian Open, he ignited an important conversation, one that extends far beyond a single match or tournament. This isn't about blame. It's about balance. It's about ensuring that the biggest stages in tennis are governed not just by rules, but by fairness applied evenly and transparently. As Coco Gauff moves forward in her season, one thing is certain. She won't be defined by controversy, but by how she continues to rise above it. And thanks to voices like Taylor Fritz, the sport may just be listening more closely than ever. Taylor Fritz's comments have added fuel to an already heated conversation surrounding Coco Gauff's experience at the Australian Open. By openly questioning whether Gauff was treated unfairly, Fritz shifted the spotlight from isolated incidents to a broader discussion about player treatment, privacy, and respect at major tournaments. His willingness to speak up reflects a growing sense of unity among players who believe that fairness should extend beyond the court and into media coverage, officiating, and tournament operations. Fritz's remarks resonated strongly with fans, many of whom felt that Coco faced unnecessary scrutiny during emotionally charged moments. The debate quickly spread across social media, with supporters applauding Fritz for using his platform to stand up for a fellow player. Others began revisiting key moments from the tournament, asking tough questions about consistency, transparency, and how young stars are handled under intense global attention. What makes this situation significant is not just Coco Gauff's status as a rising superstar, but what her experience represents for the wider tennis community. Players are increasingly vocal about mental health, personal space, and the pressure created by constant surveillance. Fritz's comments align with that shift, signaling that athletes are no longer willing to stay silent when they feel boundaries are crossed. As the dust settles on the Australian Open, this controversy may leave a lasting impact. Tournament organizers, broadcasters, and officials could face renewed calls to reassess policies and strike a better balance between fan access and player well-being. For Coco Gauff, the support from peers like Fritz reinforces that she is not alone, and that speaking up can lead to meaningful change. In the end, Fritz's words weren't just about one player or one tournament. They were a reminder that respect, fairness, and accountability matter just as much as trophies and titles in the modern game of tennis. Tennis Fire, thank you for watching. Please don't forget to hit the subscribe button, like, and share. Till next time.